Hey guys, Chris and Cheryl here from Harmony Turbines.
Hello.
Happy Monday.
Indeed.
It is the Monday after our big ice storm that we had. We had an ice storm that started Saturday around 6 p.m. in our area.
Evening. We had a freezing rain, like, the wintry mix, but we had a lot of freezing rain and sleet and ended up with a glazed donut about a good quarter to half inch thick.
Oh, it was a half inch. Yeah.
It was pretty thick. So we were, we were in the safety of our home. We were thankful for that. But we were sitting there wondering, what's Harmony doing?
So we have a couple things that we're going to be covering in this video. And I said to my wife, well, this footage would be really, really boring.
But it's not. It's so exciting because instead of having to be here on site and go all the way down the parking lot to be able to see up onto the roof and see Harmony and have to be here at midnight, 2 and 3 in the morning, we don't have to do that anymore. Wiping the snow off of my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to give a shout out to Eric Spangler and his company. It's Limited Access Fire and Security. Mm-hmm. So they're out of Hershey. Thank you, Eric, for literally donating to us a web IP camera that we can now have full time. It's a 4K camera that we have up on a roof, and you're seeing live right now. This is 8:41 a.m. when we're recording this footage on our roof looking at Harmony. And there were birds going by right there. This camera has been installed on our roof for about a week, and we've got some interesting things to show you. So we wanted to do this video about it because there's several things here that we can actually talk about that we weren't able to capture before, and now we have the ability to see and show you. So one of the things that people have always asked about,
everyone wants to know about birds. We just saw some fly by here. Everyone wants to know about birds. With horizontal axis wind turbines, the ones that go this way, birds often get hurt by the blades swooping down and hitting them, or the birds will get killed. And so when we started talking about our wind turbine, that was a question that it doesn't come up so often anymore. But a lot of people were wondering, well, how does it do with birds? Well, we didn't know, but our theory was that because we're a big, wide structure with our turbine, we thought, well, they'll see it like a house or just something that they need to fly around, and that
there's no open space really. Harmony has never. There's birds flying. And one landed on it right as we're literally talking right now. That's funny. That's hilarious. But yeah, it's a solid structure. So they're going to see it like a house or a barn or anything, and they're just going to go flying around it. Even when it's moving, it's a solid structure. There's solid mass there rotating in the middle. It's too bad the wind's not strong enough to move it. But
right.
So we actually have footage of this event happening with a much larger bird. So I'm going to show you that. So this was the 4th, about a week ago. A big, huge vulture was on Harmony. And then as soon as it started moving, he was like, ah, and he went away. So it's unlikely that they're going to ever be, I don't know, if we had 5 days of dead wind, I suppose someone could go and make a nest in there, but it would get probably...
Well, now we can see when that, because, we're heading into the spring here, so...
Something must have happened because he got down and was looking up at the turbine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so that's an interesting little bit of footage that we had of an actual bird event with Harmony, and crazy, one was happening here live when we were talking about it just now. So there you go. That's the best footage we have so far of a bird event with Harmony.
Now, the other thing that we wanted to show you guys that occurred this weekend, and we can only see because of this camera here, is we had an ice storm. Now, we've already been able to answer the question of what it does with heavy snowfall and sub-freezing temperatures. We covered that in an earlier video a couple weeks ago with Storm Demi rolling through, but we haven't really here in Pennsylvania had ice yet until this weekend. So
again, it's Pennsylvania. It's not Colorado. It's not Canada or Alaska. But for wimpy Pennsylvania, this is a pretty bad ice storm. We had a half inch of ice covering everything. The storm began about 15 minutes from now, just around 6 o'clock p.m. on the 8th. And so this is looking at 5:45 p.m. on the 8th. As we move forward, here is 6 o'clock. You can see the sleet and snow starting to come down. We'll move to 6:30. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Here's 9 o'clock. And it just basically continued throughout. Here's 10 o'clock. Oddly, you'll notice we switched out of night vision mode. Like 9 o'clock, it must have been dark enough that it was in the black and white night vision mode. But here at 10 o'clock, somehow it was light enough with the haze and the moon and whatever that it's back into daylight mode, which was pretty cool. So 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, we are pretty much totally still. The turbines, you know, just getting a little bit of wind. You can see the anemometer moving. Now if we go into Sunday, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., you'll notice nothing has moved on the turbine. 5 a.m. Now right around 5:33, this is an exposed turbine. You guys would never, we would never sell a turbine in production that would be like this. This has exposed gearing on it. It's got exposed wiring. It's got all kinds of things that this is our first alpha unit. So it's rough.
Right. We have everything exposed so that we can access it for settings we want to change, you know, things we need to do to it as part of our testing process. So
but what that means is it's far more vulnerable than one we would have out in the field that we're selling in production mode. Literally the cassette gearing is facing up, so all the ice and snow gets right on top of it and gets in there. So this was a pretty interesting test for us. We were not sure how it would do with all this ice and everything. So 5 in the morning, we've got, you know, it's been, if you rewind and watch, the turbine's been pretty much still. There's been no wind. But right around 5:33, and I'm gonna try and get, come on, and 36 seconds. So in a few seconds here, you'll see the first little tiny breeze got strong enough to actually move it. Now it didn't move much, but there it was. That was the first movement after the storm, because I went back and looked at the footage. Now if we move to 8 o'clock, and we move right around to 8 o'clock exactly, this is where the wind started picking up enough that it actually began moving the turbine. Now, keep in mind, guys, we're getting some good wind here. This is not an optimized turbine. We are working in the back on our wind tunnel about turbine blade efficiencies and trying to find better geometries. The performance of this one back in the wind tunnel is pretty low. We have found some that are absolutely astonishing, too high, too good to be true. So we're trying to really sit there. Here in about 3 seconds, it begins moving, and it'll continue because the wind was strong enough that it was able to continue moving. So we have very bad scoop geometry here with this version that's on the roof. We have a very bad generator. We've got an e-bike hub on the roof, and we have a very bad charge controller. So this turbine is making power. It's not just rooftop artwork. It is making power right now. It is sending power down to our power bank. We're working with a contractor, and Brian are working together to build a better charge controller so we can capture more power more efficiently. We're working with a company out of Ohio right now to do our casting for our coils and our stator for our own generator so that we don't have to have gearing and, you know, like all these things. Plus we're working in the back with our wind tunnel to optimize our scoop geometry. So better generator, better charge controller, better scoop geometry all translate to you getting better performance and better output from your wind turbine that you would end up buying from us.
Right.
This is our early alpha unit, and we've told you we would share everything with you as we get it. We would not hide or obfuscate anything. We would share everything as we can. That doesn't mean that we're going to put the web IP camera on the internet for you to view, because I know there's going to be people saying,
people are going to be asking.
Yeah, they're going to be like, oh, what's the IP address so I can get to it and watch? We're not going to do that yet. Who knows? We just probably need to take a pause on that one. So as of right now,
situations where we go up on the roof and we make changes to the turbine, and some of the changes aren't going to be as good. You know, we're testing things out. So some changes will produce poor results, and you know, if people just happen to hop on at that point and look at the turbine, they're like, that's crappy.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no context.
Right.
You know, we're making changes. There's no context for you guys to understand what part of our
Sometimes,
testing process.
right now,
we're
we
in.
have our gear ratio set at a certain amount. We might go up on the roof and double or triple that gear ratio. And suddenly now the turbine's not spinning in,
Right.
you know, much higher winds. And you guys will be like, oh, Harmony sucks. But we can't have people making assumptions and assertions based on what they think they see is happening.
Right.
There needs to be context around it. But right now, the turbine is, in fact, making power, sending power down to our units down here, our battery bank. It's just not optimized very good. We're working on that, and we will continue sharing that story as we do this.
Right.
In many ways, I'm going to make this stop. It's noisy. In many ways, the way we're doing this development is how I've said all along. I believe companies should be required to do their development kind of like we are. It's not open source, but it's sharing everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, as we're going about it. And that's what we promised all along we would do. So yes, development takes a while. It's not Amazon where you go boop and it's here tomorrow. This stuff, developing something like this, is complex, and doing it from scratch takes a while. So, okay, that's pretty much all we wanted to show right now. You know, the bird event, the ice and snowstorm, and the fact that we now have a beautiful 4K camera on the roof to share the footage as it happens.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for following along our journey, our YouTube and Patreon subscribers, our investors.
Right.
We're here because of you.
Right.
You make this possible, and we're doing everything we can to bring a quality product to you in the end, something that you can be proud of, you can be happy to have, you know, in your backyard or on your home. That's our goal, to make a much smarter, much better product that you can have. We're going to get there one step at a time.
Yeah, indeed.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for following along with us, guys. Happy Monday. Chris and Cheryl from Harmony Turbines.
Till next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Harmony Turbines. We now have the power to change the world.